Hi everyone, welcome to Difference Frames the World, an independent channel where you can see the world differently. Today is America's election day. The world wonders who will become the next US president. Who will become the winner, the laughing lady, Kamala Harris, or the frowning gentleman, Donald Trump? They are not much different from each other. One is a Pepsi 30 days after its expiration date, and another is a Coke 3 months after expiry. They taste slightly different. Still, they are both brown sugar water catering to the divided states of America. Both of them represent interest groups behind them. Bill Gates is backing Kamala Harris, while Elon Musk is scattering money for voters to support Donald Trump. Many Americans are preparing for turmoil after the election, more violent than the Capitol Hill riot on January 6, 2021. Some storekeepers reinforce their windows with wooden planks for fear that a mob of supporters, Democratic or Republican, will break into their stores. No matter who wins the election, 50% of Americans will be frustrated unless the U.S. can have two presidents. Under Biden's presidency, Donald Trump relentlessly claims to be the winner of the 2020 election but kicked away by fraud. Several days ago, a resident in Kentucky complained that he could not choose Donald Trump, and the video went viral on the X platform. The voting machine malfunction seems to be a joke in the most democratic country in the universe, and it is seemingly a very democratic tactic. No matter who wins, the result will further divide the United States, making America chaotic again. A mistakenly declared news by ABC that Kamala Harris had defeated Donald Trump in Pennsylvania several days before Election Day fueled the conspiracy theories that the election had been manipulated. Donald Trump claimed earlier that thousands of ballots were all written by the same person, according to officials in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The authorities reportedly said they were inspecting 2 packs of voter registration documents, as some applications had shown possible signs of fraud. However, they did not say how many were considered fraudulent. Donald Trump's claim might be a little exaggerated, but it shows his concern about becoming a victim of fraud, as he has repeatedly claimed. He constantly blames the Democrats for rigging the 2020 election against him, asserting that Joe Biden stole the victory from him in Pennsylvania and other states in the 2020 election. In Pennsylvania, Biden got 80,555 more ballots than Trump in 2020. In Wisconsin, the gap was 20,000. In Georgia, Biden got 12,000 more than Trump. In Arizona, the difference was 10,000. Donald Trump had already celebrated his victory, but when he woke up the second day, Joe Biden became the winner. The election conspiracy theory has haunted the Biden administration for many years, and in 2024, Donald Trump continues to relay the same story over and over to his supporters. If he fails again, his supporters will rip the country apart, and the whole country is preparing itself for a devastating result. On the afternoon of November 5, 2024, the election day, Trump posted on his Truth Social platform that a lot of talk about massive cheating in Philadelphia. Law enforcement coming. The local police said they are not aware of the so-called massive cheating in Philadelphia, which Donald Trump referenced in his post. Donald Trump has been constantly accused of making baseless claims about election cheating, especially in Philadelphia. It is still too early to say whether Donald Trump and Kamala Harris can accept the results peacefully. Particularly for Harris, her team is afraid that Donald Trump might declare victory before the projected president is announced, as he did in 2020. We are not a fortune teller, and we do not have a crystal ball to tell us whether Donald Trump will become the new president. However, we think Trump may become the final winner. In recent decades, 15 U.S. vice presidents pursued presidencies, but few succeeded. Among 5 vice presidents successfully elected as the top leaders, Harry Truman and Lyndon Johnson had already taken over the presidencies after their predecessors' deaths in 1945 and 1963 before they were formally elected and proceeded to their new terms. Joe Biden was Obama's vice president for 2 terms. After he was questionably elected as the U.S. president in 2020 and stayed in the Oval Office for 4 years, he decided not to run for the 2024 election, pushing his vice president, Kamala Harris, to continue the journey for him. Donald Trump looks down upon Harris, never hiding his disdain, and always saying she is not fit for the job as president. Many people agree with Trump, saying she is not good as vice president. In the past 4 years, most people have been unhappy with the Biden administration, and Kamala Harris will be adversely affected. As one of the worst U.S. presidents, Joe Biden has set a precedent for Kamala Harris, so people may wonder whether a vice president can make it any better. Whether one admits it or not, Joe Biden is not as good as Obama, and it is natural for people to conclude that Kamala Harris might be worse than Joe Biden. She is long pictured as a laughingstock with no brains. As one of the two rotten potatoes, Donald Trump is not much better than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. However, Trump can make America slightly better than Biden and Harris. He still pursues the American dream, and he wants to get jobs back in the United States. After 2 failed assassinations, he is still enthusiastic and fearless. He is regarded as a warrior and a typical American hero. If he wins the 2024 election, many countries will suffer, including U.S. allies. Trump will undermine other countries to make America great again. Most countries in the world are prepared for Donald Trump to return to the White House, although most of them do not like him. Some wonder which candidate China prefers and whether Beijing is prepared for a tougher Donald Trump back to the arena. It makes no difference for China in the long run, but Beijing may prefer Harris to Trump. Unlike Donald Trump, who confronts China directly, Harris will likely continue Biden's strategy to encircle China with its allies. Trump will create more headaches for Beijing than Harris, as he may fight with China head-to-head on most fronts, like trade, technology, military, and education. It was during his first term that the trade war and the tech war took place between the two countries. Suppose he wins the election this time, and becomes the U.S. president with no challenges from the Democrats. In that case, he will impose more sanctions on China, although he does not hide his admiration for President Xi Jinping. In the campaign, he proposed a 60% tariff on all Chinese imports. He even threatened to increase the tariff to 200% if Beijing launched a war to take over Taiwan, which we discussed in a video several days ago. His new term will also impact the relationship between the U.S., Russia, and China. The Ukraine war has lasted almost 3 years and Moscow has not achieved what it had wanted. In the past 3 years, China has not openly supported Russia, although it increased economic interactions with Moscow, helping it survive Western countries' sanctions. If Donald Trump becomes the president again, he will likely implement a land for peace strategy, coercing Ukraine to sit on the negotiation table with Russia. He may pressure Ukraine to give up some territory to end the war with Moscow, as a Washington Post report disclosed in April 2024. Donald Trump not only esteems Chinese President Xi Jinping as his best friend, but he also admires Russian President Putin. If he had to choose between China and Russia, he might side with Russia to stop China's further development. After ending the Ukraine war, he may convince Moscow to turn its back to Beijing. Russia, China, and the US are like the 3 Chinese kingdoms 1800 years ago, and none of them can be permanent friends with one another. China has replaced Russia, becoming America's #1 rival. Every day, American lawmakers at Capitol Hill review and pass bills to give a hard time to China. In Donald Trump's eyes, Russians are at least like Europeans, but the Chinese are always Asians, not Caucasians. He regarded China as a long-term threat, and the competition with China as a clash with a non-Caucasian civilization. The Chinese should not expect Russian President Putin to be China's friend forever if Donald Trump attempts to alienate Russia from China with the removal of US and European sanctions on Russia. Neither Donald Trump nor Kamala Harris will be good to China. However, in the short run, Donald Trump will be a bigger headache for Beijing. Thanks for watching our videos, and please subscribe to our channel if you have not done that so you will not miss our uploads every day. Like, forward and share our videos with your friends, helping DFTW become a club with 1 million subscribers shortly. Thanks again.